universities will do their own. So the first time they have joined. Actually last year they kind of merged the three together, so this is something new. So you must have read the news this morning. 90% of graduates get jobs, pay go up, blah 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 blah. Okay? So that's the fairy tale, not you do the nightmare. The median graduate pay went up from $3,000 to $3,050. That is an increase of 1.7% last year. Inflation last year was 4.6%. So the real increase last year for graduates is minus 2.9%. Now you think 1 year is not enough? No, because one look back further backwards. So I try to look at 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. Oh, problem. I cannot find any median data in the graduate employment survey in the earlier years. All I can find is mean data. Unfortunately, this year also have mean data. So I look at the mean data. Listen to this. Last 6 years, after adjusting for inflation, graduate pay every year dropped by 0.4% for the last 6 years. Any polytechnic graduates here? Okay. I tried to analyze the polytechnic data to be fair to you. I think it's much worse. Much worse. But the problem is, the polytechnic data even more funny because it now has the median data, but don't have the mean data. And in the past, it has the mean data, but not the median data. So that's why I say I think it's worse, but I cannot figure out exactly yet. But roughly, I guess, because normally the median is normally worse off than the mean. So if I make a guess, I think for polytechnic graduates, it's about minus 3% per annum for the last 5 years. For NS, people who finish NS. So, like the previous speaker said, how come the graduate pay will go up? Because of what purpose? The S-Pass today is 2,200, but it used to be 1,008. Almost the same pay as the polytechnic graduates 10 years ago. Then your employment pass, the minimum pass is 8,002, used to be 2,008. Almost the same as your university graduate pay also. So if you are the employer, you think, I can get more experience, more qualified, more hardworking, and as you put it, more hungry, more desperate, right? Maybe come single, won't get pregnant, no 4-month maternity leave. If men don't have go for reservists, then on 2-year contract, you torture him every day, you cannot run away. So when we say that we want to level the playing field for Singaporean workers, these fundamental policies that discriminate against Singaporeans must change. In fact, no matter what you do, the core issues remain. See, all the things that we talk about can be solved by only one money. Right? Money solves everything. Right? If you have money, so I was thinking, people say must talk about population one paper, right? So you look at the population one paper, say a lot of things like, don't worry, population go up, we will spend more money, we will help you, we will help you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I said, well, when you look at the Department of Statistics, monthly digest of statistics, February, just released. Last year, 2011 to 2012, social spending in Singapore actually decreased. In 2011, your operating expenditures for social spending is like education, healthcare, community development, all the stuff about the people. 2011, the government operating expenditure for social welfare was 17.7 billion. 1 year later, 2012, it declined to 17.5 billion. I haven't even adjusted for inflation yet now. I haven't even adjusted for the increase in the population yet. I haven't even adjusted for more older people and whatever you want to adjust for. So how can the operating expenditure drop when over the last 3 years, practically every other month or every month we are hearing, we watch the news, oh, we will do more for you, we will spend more money to help you, and then the money drop. So that's operating expenditure. Look at the development expenditure for social spending, also drop. Money, right, from 3.7 billion drop to 3.5 billion. So like I said earlier, everything is about money. So let's look at the money issue in Singapore. Last year the budget surplus, as usual, estimate 1 point something, become 3.9 billion. But if you add in the transfers to endowment funds, which is like 5.9 billion, you're looking at a budget surplus of 9.5 billion in 1 year. Then, if you add in the development, the transfer to the development fund, I lost touch with all these numbers now. It's normally around 5 billion or something, I don't know, it varies over the years. Then it becomes 10 billion. Then you add in the revenue from land sales, which normally is another 10 billion, then it becomes 20 billion. That's why when you look at the Department of Statistics monthly digest of statistics, very strange. The budget surplus that you see in this report is 30 billion. So how did 3.9 billion become 30 billion? There's some complicated stuff about Department of Statistics follow IMF standards and fiscal reporting or whatever. But anyway, you cannot sleep, you go and read this one, right? Guaranteed, within 5 minutes, very, very complicated. I have no idea what they're doing, right? All I can tell you is that the number looks very strange. So we don't seem to be spending more money when we say we are spending more money. And of course, some people will say, money must accumulate. Maybe one day have rainy day, right? Then I said, okay, right, that's the case. Right now, they are spending half of the NRI, the reserves net investment returns. They call it NIRC, net investment return contribution. Every year they take half of that, and they put it into the budget. So I spend up. Okay. Now this one even more complicated. Tell you why. Look at this and I say. So in order to figure out how much money the return is that you can spend, you got to figure out how much the return, right? Something very interesting happened I think about a week or two ago now. NCMP Mrs. Lina Chan asked a very strange question in Parliament. She asked, how come GIC now only report the returns in US dollars but not in Sing dollars? Because in the past years they used to report in Sing dollar and US dollar. But actually sometimes they report in US dollar, sometimes they report in Sing dollar, sometimes they report in both, sometimes they report the nominal, sometimes they report the real. So after a while, it's the answer that is really strange. The answer is, GIC reports its return in US dollars because we don't want to confuse Singaporeans. Because, all the other countries report US dollar. So we report US dollar, some people compare US dollar, so that will confuse people. So therefore, we don't report in US dollar. You know what's the problem? Even if I concede that it is confusing for Singaporeans, it's a question asked by a member of parliament. So you're saying all the ATO people also will be confused if you answer the question? If that's the case, I don't think they deserve to be there. Right? If a member of parliament asks you what is the GIC return in Sing dollar, answer it is confusing. Because if you answer, so because of that I have to do extra work. I have to go and try to figure out what was the real return in Sing dollars. A layman, a layman, right? Never has formal education, training, or experience in statistics. So all these stuff is, self-learned one. Right? So most of the time may be wrong, but never mind. Nobody takes me task. So by my estimation, GIC says that the last 20 years is real return in US dollars was 3.9%. 20 years, 3.9 real. After I changed to Sing dollar, after I adjust for inflation, you know what figure I got for the last 20 years? Real return in Sing dollars, 2.45% per annum. Now, last 5 years, GIC return in US dollar. This time they only give you the nominal but not the real return, 3.4%. After I calculate the Sing dollar return in real terms, last 5 years I estimate return was minus 4.35% per annum for the last 5 years. I think it's very difficult to find any sovereign wealth fund, or for that matter, any fund manager, to give this kind of stellar performance. Minus 4.35% real, not even nominal, real last 5 years. Real 2.45% last 20 years. This kind of fund manager, very hard to find. So, this money question is complicated. So I will not continue this complex issue. Then, if money is a problem, then what is the problem? The problem is if you have a job, you have a decent pay, then have money, no money, whether you spend enough, it doesn't matter. Because you have job, you have pay. So let me talk about jobs. We just released the job data. The foreign employment change, that is growth in foreign workers, from 70,000 dropped to 60,000. Very good, right? The local employment change increased from 30,000 to 50,000. Very good, right? Here's the problem. The local data is not broken down into Singaporeans and PRs. So for all we know, that 50,000, of course, cannot be 100% PR. But I just took, let's say, 20% of that local is PRs. Then what do I get? I get a worker mix today of 45% foreigners, 55% locals. If I adjust for 20% PRs, we are looking at something like maybe 36% of the workers are Singaporeans. Now, of course, the other issue is all these jobs we are creating. What we need to know is just not how many jobs we create, what type of jobs, what kind of pay are they giving? Are these jobs going to Singaporeans and so on and so on? Singapore is very strange. For years we were asking them, can we break down your job data? So finally one day they said, okay, we break down for you the unemployment rate and the unemployment data into Singaporean and PRs. But if you can break down for unemployment, how come you cannot break down for total employment? How come you cannot break down for employment change? How come you cannot break down for long-term unemployment? Very strange, right? Because you can break down one piece, you can break down all the rest. So, we think graduate pay was that enough. Then of course we say, what about everybody's pay? In the 1990s, it was Singapore's golden era, You know what was the real increase in pay every year after inflation? I estimate 6.4% real increase in pay every year from 1990 to 2000. I feel right, real. Come to 2000 to 2012, the last 2 years, by my estimation, it had dropped to only 0.4% real increase in employment for the last 12 years. That is half the workers, last 12 years, only got a miserable 0.4 increase per year. Terrible, right? How to survive on 0.4% increase? You look at the population white paper. It says, don't worry, we increase the population, we increase the infrastructure. In the budget, they are now, wow, so many new hospitals, so many new polyclinics, everything, a lot. Okay. When people tell you, I'm going to give you a lot of things in the future, you will ask them, what did you give me the last 10 years? In the last 10 years, total hospital beds in Singapore decreased in the last 10 years. When the population went up by more than 1 million, and they were selling this foreign tourism for medical, as many as 850,000 a year, and the number of population beds remained the same. Now you understand why you are subsidized patient, as one lady wrote in the newspaper forum, my father or what, have to wait like 14 months just to get diagnosed. But if I can't diagnose, I think maybe I will go for the diagnosis appointment already. So the system cannot be. How do you increase your population? You bring in, you sell medical, then 10 years the total number of hospital beds increase. So we have huge problems with infrastructure, we have huge problems with jobs, we have huge problems with the earnings, we have huge problems with everything like. So, what is the solution going forward? Actually, I was quite happy. Because recently, one of our ministers did an interview with a foreign newspaper in the US, and he was asked the question like, do you think the government will be more transparent? The answer was something like this: oh yes, government will be more transparent. Okay? Even government just supposed to be transparent, rather than be more transparent. Yeah. So on the subject of transparency, here are some questions I like to ask. Number one, how many people cannot pay for their HDB flat? We used to get these statistics, but they don't come up anymore. And I think it's been a long time since somebody in Parliament asked this one. I think why this is important. That is big ever in the HDB history. There were 41,000 households who couldn't pay the HDB flat for more than 3 months. Now, the last time it was disclosed, I think it was around the last financial crisis, 2009 or something, right? And in the crisis year, at the peak of the crisis, the number of people who couldn't pay actually went down, right? So this defies logic. You are in the worst crisis, how come we have less people who cannot pay? So I did some detective work. So this is what I figured out. And you cannot pay, HDB will tell you, hey, you better sell your house in the open market now. Because you wait until I do compulsory acquisition, I only give you 90% of my valuation. You lose your cash COV, you lose that. So why don't you sell the house? So because of this, so when you go and ask, hey, how many HDB flats have you compulsorily acquired? The answer is very few only, maybe 1,000 plus, of course lah. Who will do the compulsory acquisition, right? So after a while, you need to be more creative. So you can no longer ask how many people cannot pay, because the number of people pay will always get lower and lower, because they will be literally forced to sell the home. So maybe you need to ask this question: how many people have been served letters saying that if they don't what you call sell the house, right, they will be compulsory acquired because they will continue to pay risk? You look at this one, then I think you can tell, give you some sense how many people cannot pay. But this is just half the story, because the last time they asked, how many HDB bank loans cannot pay? The answer is, we don't have the data. But about 10 years ago, somebody asked in Parliament, they were able to give the data at that time, 7% of HDB cannot pay. So I find very strange. If 10 years ago you have the data, then these 2 years you don't have the data, you forgot to continue taking the data, or what? I don't know. Right? But the issue here is, without this, how do I know how many people really cannot pay? Because you notice the number of HDB bank loans is going up, the number of HDB loans is going down. So you have more and more HDB bank loans. Without the HDB bank loan data, we have no idea how bad things are. Another question I think you need to ask about HDB is this, how many people, after they change the policy that when your household income is $801 to $1,500 a month, your rent will go up by as much as like 3 or 1 times. See, a few years ago they changed the policy. You household income €800, you pay $26. Then they changed the policy. If your income becomes $801, they increase your rent like 200%, more than 3 months. So, this, I mean, can you imagine a household earning below $800, then you increase the rent by 3 over times? That's because the household income go up by 8 months. So this I think that we will ask. What else you need to ask? CPF was designed to help Singaporeans retire, right? So every time you hear the rhetoric, you will say, oh, the system is working very well. So here's my question. At the age of 55, how many Singaporeans, all who reach 55, are able to have the minimum sum in cash? I estimate the number to be 1 out of 8. And the reason is this. The answer in Parliament is the last one that I can find. 45% can meet the minimum sum. But I checked already, actually it's not 45% in cash. It's half of the 45% in cash, the other half after pledging property. And then you look some more, this is only for active CPF members. For like 1.7 million active CPF members, you have another 1.6 million inactive CPF members. So you add all this together, it's probably about 1 out of 8. One day, I opened the Taobao, one page rise. 80% of Singaporeans who go to public hospital, B2 and Class C, when they come out after use medicine, pay less than $100. Wow. Best healthcare system in the world, right? 80% come out of pocket only $100. So, of course, when you see numbers like this, you'll ask, okay, 80% pay less than 100 pay. What was the figure for the 95% down? For people pay over 50,000? How do you not have? Simple. They increase the Medishield premiums and deductibles from first house. So to justify the increase, they showed you some data. I think in the 2 years, 2010 and 2011, there were like 30 over 50 old people who in 1 year, the medical cost was more than 50,000 in Class C and D2, which is supposed to be the cheapest class and supposed to be the subsidized one. Then the obvious question you ask is, I go to the hospital, then the bill come out, it says 80% subsidy, right? This is a question that Paul taught me to ask. You see the patient bill 80% subsidy. Is this the actual money that the hospital get? Paul tells me it's not lah. Okay? So the question to ask is, can you total out all the 80% that you show the patient bill and then compare to the exact amount that you give to the hospital? Then you can see the difference. Otherwise, why do you think that the public hospitals are so desperate to, kind of like, not say desperate, I mean, actually they do very good stuff. Every year, run down the island to raise funds, right? To help people who cannot pay, right? And I wonder, if the subsidy is so high, they can really fund. How come the doctors are just going to run down the island to get money to help the people who cannot pay? So there is something wrong with the system. Okay? The system really is, the statistics are all very strange. The report just came out from Medifund. More than 500,000 applications approved. Success rate 99%. But you know the problem? This is the number of applications, not number of patients. One patient applied 20 times 1 year, counted 20 times, One patient applied once, failed, is gone already. Then of course, I tell you the thing with all the statistics over years. After a while, statistics always look better. You know why? Maybe they tell you, no need to apply because you don't meet the criteria. Right? Then of course, the rejection rate will go to very low. Don't know. Right? I'm going to end with what I feel is the one statistic that we really need to know. Right? That is, how many poor people are there in Singapore? You don't know, right? But there are clues. What are the clues? But first the question, how many needy Singaporean families have ever received financial assistance under contract in the history of contract? There are some clues around because the last compare report, we had 70,000 applications, I think it was 70,000 in 1 year. And the last time, we said about 70% were approved. If 70,000 needy families applied in 1 year, what about the existing families already getting? What about those who used to apply? This is 2013. 7 years ago, I wrote a letter to the newspaper forum. When you're going to come to the age where you can apply for senior citizen transport pass, the memory not very good. So I vaguely remember I wrote one letter, I think I found it in the newspaper archive 7 years ago. I believe that I said, if the Malay Muslim community has a database that there were 105,000 beneficiaries who ever received assistance under compare. This one community only, how many people are there in total? Even if you know how many poor people there are, then the next thing will ask, how much money do they get for assistance? We have never been told how much people get. Every time you have a newspaper report of compare, you will find one family, see this family, 6 children, Then one disabled, very few. You see the family already, you cry straight away, right? Then they talk, 1 month $600, right? So we need to know how many people are getting how much. Otherwise, cannot be that so many people are getting. Because statistics, we are all struggling with low things. And I think you would realize something. I must have gone beyond my feeling. Thank you.